Florida's housing market is seeing some of the steepest price drops since 2011. Homeowners who need to sell are now struggling to find buyers wanting to pay their price despite being well below the original asking price. Current price drops are simply not working. Why is this? Well, for starters, nationwide home buyers have cooled off as they believe that historical home prices must come down into a range of better affordability. But in Florida, it's more than this. Florida is now one of the country's worst states for rapidly rising cost of home ownership, property insurance, condo fees, HOA fees, and property taxes in Florida make living in this sunshine state almost impossible, at least without more major home price reductions, like maybe 30 to 50% more. For instance, let's take a look at this listing on Zillow. It's in Port Charlotte, Florida. So it's currently listed at $379, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,155 square feet. The home looks pretty good looking at the pictures, but the important thing here is that this property was originally listed back April 1st for $464,000. It's had multiple price reductions over the 7-month period of time, and currently, as of 10/30, its final price dropped it to $379,000. Guys, that is an $85,000 price reduction, or a 22% decrease in price, and still not enough to attract a buyer to say yes. Or how about this home in Tampa on Realtor.com? This beautiful 6-bedroom, 3-bath home is currently listed at $525,000. So this one actually takes us back 7 months as well, 7 months ago, where March 9th, 2024, it was originally listed for $634,990. Now look here, 1, 2, 3, 4 price reductions. It's now listed, as I said, $525,000. That means this home has dropped $110,000 or 17%, and still no takers. Price drops are happening all over the country. I warned you about this. Y'all, and there's no bottom in sight. All right, Phil, Simonetta, you're down in Florida. You boots on the ground, working in a bunch of areas from north to south, right?
Yeah. My headquarters is here in Jacksonville, but we have agents in Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Naples, Miami, Orlando. So we're handling the whole state completely.
So how are agents surviving the Florida housing market right now?
In general, they're having a tough time. I have a buyer's agent now on one of our listings, hasn't closed a deal since May, he told me. A lot of people's financing is falling through. Debt ratios aren't working out. You know, the insurance costs are pushing the deals and removing the financing, and the deal falls apart. Inspection problems, especially with the couple hurricanes, they're re-inspecting and some work needs to be done. Sellers can't come to an agreement on doing some work. And a lot of deals are falling apart as we speak.
So I guess, Phil, at this point, if agents aren't selling houses, if they haven't had a commission check since May, it's kind of hard to put the client's needs in front of their own, I would imagine, when they're probably just trying to push people into deals. What areas are you seeing the home inventory explode the most?
Yeah, well, like I said, in general, over the state, we're up. But right now, inventory for us, Jacksonville has blown up. Orlando has just blown up in the last week. You're talking, right now, I'll give you an example. You're talking the inventory right now in Miami's up about 12% down there. Jacksonville about 18%, and Tampa is about 7.5%. Tampa's still a little
And what
tight.
is this over what? Year over year, or in the last 30 days?
Year over year. What's scary though is in the last 7 days, just in the stellar MLS, 11,389 new listings in the last 7 days. You had price decreases, 11,997, almost 12,000. Now, the big number is back on the market. These are deals that fell apart. Contracts broke up, for some reason they canceled. 2,862.
And is this the entire state?
This is the stellar MLS. It goes from Daytona Beach to Tampa, down to Cape Coral, over to like Port St. Lucie. So it's the center of the state. This is the largest MLS, but it's the center, so it gives us a good reading.
So with the inventory exploding, what would you say is the number one reason homeowners are selling right now?
Well, the reason they're selling is they're trying, from my experience of all the listings we have, the sellers are trying to get out before they lose the equity. They either want out of it, they're looking to downsize. a lot of things we're getting, or they're moving out of Florida. I have a lot of people that are actually leaving Florida. Another number is the expireds. I mean, you had 3,331 expire in the last 7 days. That's deals that, had a 6-month contract on them or more that just didn't sell. It's because the sellers aren't realizing the prices are shifting down. They're shifting down, and they're right at market value. The listings we have now, we're 10, 15,000 under market value, and we're starting to get showings and offers. But we had to convince the sellers, and we had to show them. And I was showing them where we're at. I mean, if you look at the numbers for 2024 in deals closed, 2024 has about 3.8 million sales nationwide. And that's the lowest since 2010. We're down big time on closed deals year over year, over that period. 2010 was the last time it was that low. It was always, the 5-6 million areas where they usually were at, right?
Yeah, you're talking about nationwide.
Nationwide, yeah.
So,
I'm gonna give you that.
What are you telling your sellers?
I'm telling the sellers straight up, very transparent with them. I show them the numbers I'm talking to you about right now. And I say, look, here's where we are. Here's what the comps are showing. But the comps are dated, 3, 4, 2 months ago. And I'm showing them what's happening in the last 10 days. I'm showing them what's happening in the last 3 weeks. So you can't really base the pricing from 3 months ago. It's shifting that hard, that fast. And I'm showing them, here's what the comps are showing. Comps are showing 475. However, the trajectory is coming down. You need to be in there at 460, 459, and you need to get these people in here. Because if not, if this trajectory keeps going where we think it's going to get worse in another 2-3 weeks. I don't know where it's going to stop. The Fed just lowered the rate twice, 25 and 25. The rates went up. They can't control it anymore. Now, the next issue is the insurance. That's the next problem. Insurance now, as of 2025, anything that's in the coastal zones, okay, not necessarily a flood zone, but coastal zones, these insurance policies have gone up from 100 to 300% in the last year and a half. They're estimating in these coastal zones that the insurance for an average $350,000 house by the end of 25 is going to be $12,000 a year. I'm seeing that. I just did a deal in Orlando. They wanted $11,000 a year I closed on it for a single family home that was older, but had a brand new roof. It just didn't have the newer construction, but that's something that's happening. These homes with flood insurance, 5 years ago, the flood insurance was about $850 a year. That same flood insurance today is about $3,400 a year. Same exact coverage, same exact policy. It's pushing that, the pity up, the principal, the interest, the tax, and the insurance. So the principal is the principal. You can't change it. The interest is the interest. The taxes are also increasing, and the insurance. When these buyers are coming, they have to be able to afford that with a debt ratio. Now you get into the affordability problem, right? So this is what I'm explaining to the sellers. And the numbers for the affordability right now are out of whack. The average affordability index is 54%. They don't even qualify with a $100,000 income in a home. People can't afford, and they don't have incentive to come and look. That's what's happening.
So with all the price reductions that we're seeing in the Florida housing market, do you see any bottom in sight?
The bottom I see, I'm telling you, if rates break that 6% at the current prices, they can start affording it again. If that doesn't happen, rates stay the same and go up, the prices are going to have to come down 10 or 15% so they can get back into that payment range. It all comes down to that payment range for your average buyers. And it doesn't matter if the house is X, the rate has to be Y. And that can just go up and down. If the price goes up, the rate has to come down. That is what a lot of the buyers are looking at right now, affordability. And that's just not there.
Well, Phil, I mean, the Florida housing market across the state has gone up about 80% in the last 5 years. I don't think that buyers are going to think that 10% price reduction is going to be very exciting.
Now, I agree. I see a 20, 30% drop coming. I mean, these homes have just been so overpriced. It just doesn't make sense. But the demand, it's all going to depend on that demand. If somebody's willing to come pay it, they're going to get it. The problem is it's stopping. They're not willing to pay it right now.
So is it your opinion, Phil, that this is only the beginning of falling home prices?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it really is going to depend on the policies put in place. I think that has a lot to do with it when it comes to where we're going to go in the future. But if things stay where they are, it can't go anywhere but down. It doesn't make any other sense.
All right. Well, we appreciate you chiming in on the Florida housing market, and all of your information is in the show notes. And if you guys are looking for help in Florida, certainly check out Phil. He'll be glad to point you in the right direction.
I'm glad to help anytime.
Once perfect for retirees, Florida's home prices and housing-related expenses, like most other states in the country, have overheated to a point that expenses of homeownership have simply outpaced income. In Florida, from Sarasota to Punta Gorda, the once booming luxury communities are experiencing price drops at the rate not seen since the great financial crisis days of 2011. In my opinion, we're just seeing the beginning of what I believe will be a massive, and I mean massive, nationwide home price correction.
Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.